She is flawless on camera. Her skin glows, her lips are full, her eyes wide and youthful reflect a kind of perfection so seamless it almost looks artificial. But it isn't just one woman. It's 100, 1,000, a generation. Scroll through social media today, and you'll find a sea of faces that seem eerily similar, symmetric, smooth, ageless, like variations of the same digital goddess. But behind the curated photos, filtered stories, and aesthetic lives lies a quiet panic, the fear of becoming invisible, the fear of aging. She doesn't say it out loud. She might even laugh at the idea. "I'm just taking care of myself," she says. "I believe in wellness." But underneath the affirmations and skincare routines, a deeper truth hides that in the modern world, to age is to fade, to become irrelevant, to lose power, attention, desirability. And for many women, especially those raised in the glare of image culture, that fear shapes everything from how they dress and speak to how they love and live. Carl Jung had a name for this psychological mask we wear, the persona. It is the part of us shaped by social expectation. It is the face we show the world, the role we play, the costume we put on to survive and succeed. The persona is not inherently bad. It helps us function, belong, interact. But the danger comes when we identify with it. When we forget it is a mask. When the woman becomes the brand. When the self becomes the surface. And nowhere is this more insidious than in the world of beauty. Because in today's culture, a woman's worth is often measured by her ability to remain youthful. Not just beautiful, youthfully beautiful. There's a difference. You can be attractive at any age. But the marketing machine of modern life sells youth as a commodity. You must look young for your age. You must defy aging. You must preserve your glow. Even empowerment has been rebranded as appearance. You are powerful when you are still desirable. Not wise, not free, not integrated. Just smooth-skinned and marketable. This is the trap of eternal youth, a psychological and social loop in which a woman must never look like she's growing up. The goalpost moves every decade. The 30s are the new 20s. The 40s are the new 30s. It sounds liberating, but it's not. Because the subtext is always the same: don't age. Or at least don't look like you are. This pressure creates a particular kind of anxiety, a deep, often unspoken grief. Not just about physical change, but about being seen as someone who is no longer in her prime. The prime, of course, being defined by visibility, desirability, and the approval of others, especially men. This creates a psychic split. The woman continues to evolve internally. She has new thoughts, deeper desires, richer wisdom, but externally she must keep performing youth. She must stay light, cute, fun, fresh, glowing. She must never show the weight of her lived experience. Over time, this performance becomes exhausting. And this is where Jung's concept of the persona becomes vital. The persona is supposed to serve the self, not replace it. It is meant to be a role we can step into and out of, not an identity we are trapped in. But in a culture that glorifies youth and visibility, the persona becomes a prison. A woman who once used her looks as a tool of empowerment may find herself terrified of losing them. She becomes obsessed with maintenance of her face, her body, her brand. She lives in fear of the first wrinkle, the sag, the shift. And with each year that passes, the gap between who she really is and what the persona demands widens. This is the root of burnout, depression, and the haunting sense that something inside is dying. Because something is, what dies is the connection to the inner self, the part of you that is not your looks, not your charm, not your brand. The part of you that has a life beyond how you are perceived. When you sacrifice that self for the sake of staying relevant, you begin to lose meaning. You begin to live from the outside and not the inside out. You become a performer in your own life, constantly on stage, afraid to take off the mask even when no one's watching. And here's the truth. No matter how carefully you preserve your appearance, aging is inevitable. Time will leave its mark. Your skin will change. Your energy will shift. The persona, no matter how sophisticated, will eventually crack. And when it does, who will you be? This is the question Jung wanted us to ask. Not, how do I maintain the image, but who am I without the image? Because the purpose of aging is not to become less. It is to become more real, more full, more whole. And that wholeness can only be accessed by letting go of the need to be young forever. The modern woman is not weak for wanting to be beautiful, but she becomes lost when beauty becomes the only language she knows, when youth becomes her identity, when the fear of aging silences her deeper voice, because that voice, the one beneath the surface, is the gateway to her truth. So we must ask, what does it cost to keep performing youth? What are you giving up to stay desirable in a system that profits from your fear? Who do you silence inside yourself in order to maintain the persona? These are not comfortable questions, but they are necessary, because the alternative is sleepwalking through life, forever adjusting your angles and filters, trying to outsmart time. And time always wins. But what if you didn't have to fight it? What if aging wasn't the enemy, but the initiation? In the next part, we'll go deeper into Jung's idea of the persona, how it's created, how it protects you, and how, when left unchecked, it can begin to control your entire life. And we'll begin the journey toward what it truly means to become a mature, integrated woman, not one who denies aging, but one who wears it as her crown. The persona is not a lie, it is a compromise. It's the part of us that learns very early how to behave in a world that rewards certain traits and punishes others. As children, we adapt to get love. We become what our parents praise and suppress what they don't. We grow into roles: the good girl, the pretty one, the achiever, the flirt, the rebel. And over time, those roles become personalities. They become our face to the world, not our real face, but the one we think we need in order to be accepted. Carl Jung described the persona as a kind of psychological mask, necessary but dangerous when mistaken for the self. In a healthy psyche, we can take the mask off. We can be honest. We can be real. But when we identify too closely with our persona, we lose that ability. We become locked inside it. And this is exactly what happens to many modern women who feel trapped inside an image they once chose, but can no longer escape. Consider the woman who built her life around being admired. She learned to dress a certain way, speak a certain way, show only certain parts of herself. Her charm became a shield, her youth a currency. And in the beginning, it worked. She was seen, desired, validated. But now she's older. Her body has changed. Her audience is less responsive. The comments are quieter. And suddenly she panics, not because she doesn't love herself, but because the world loves her less. The persona is slipping, and without it she fears she is nothing. This is the core fear of the unexamined persona. If I stop being who they want me to be, will anyone still care? So she tightens the mask, she updates her photos, she gets more procedures, she leans harder into the performance, but inside she knows it's not working. And more importantly, it's not hers anymore. The image that once empowered her now imprisons her. But she doesn't know who she is without it, because no one ever taught her how to build a self. This is the crisis Jung saw in midlife, not as a tragedy, but as an opportunity. In the first half of life, we construct the persona to function in society. But in the second half, the soul demands something more. It demands authenticity. It demands that we shed the roles, the masks, the false identities, and begin the process of individuation, becoming whole. And that requires confronting the fear of aging head-on. Because aging is not just physical. It is existential. It brings us face to face with everything the persona was built to hide: mortality, impermanence, irrelevance. As long as you can perform youth, you don't have to face those things. You can stay in the illusion that life is always just beginning. But when the performance starts to crack, when your face changes, when your body slows, when your relevance shifts, what remains? If you have not built an identity beyond the persona, the answer is nothing. You feel hollow. You feel invisible. You feel unmoored. Not because aging is inherently painful, but because you have nothing deeper to stand on. You never learned how, but you can learn now. Because the persona, while powerful, is not your prison unless you let it be. It can be restructured, softened, updated to reflect who you've actually become, not who you were told to be. And to do that, you must begin asking new questions. What do I value now, not just what makes me valuable to others? What truths am I hiding behind my carefully curated identity? What does my inner voice say when I'm not performing for approval? These questions begin to dismantle the persona, not destructively, but with care. Because the goal is not to kill the mask. The goal is to loosen your attachment to it, to step out from behind it, to let more of your real self enter the room. And yes, this will cost you. It may cost you followers. It may cost you attention. It may cost you the illusion of safety that comes from being admired. But it will give you something far greater: freedom, depth, wholeness, real peace. Because when you no longer need to perform youth, you begin to grow up. Not in the boring adulting sense, but in the sacred sense. The sense that says, I no longer chase relevance, I build meaning. I no longer shape myself to fit the world. I shape the world with who I am becoming. This is what Jung called the path of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming more and more yourself. Not the self others demanded, but the one your soul has been whispering about since the beginning. And that self is not afraid of aging, because it knows the body may change, but the soul expands. In the next part, we'll explore exactly how to build this deeper self, how to create an identity rooted in maturity rather than illusion, and how to do it with grace, courage, and a kind of beauty that cannot be captured in photos, only in presence. Aging, when viewed through the lens of the soul, is not decay, it is descent. A descent into truth, into depth, into the richness of all you are beyond appearances. But to experience aging in this way, you must stop resisting it. And more than that, you must stop identifying with the part of you that fears it. This part of you, the one that flinches at a wrinkle, panics at a number, hides her birth year, is not your enemy. She is simply a fragment of your persona, the mask that was once useful, maybe even necessary. But masks, when left unexamined, eventually become our cages. So what does it look like to build a self that doesn't fear age but embraces evolution? It begins with grief. Yes, grief. Before you can embrace who you're becoming, you must mourn who you've been pretending to be. You must mourn the illusion, the image, the idea that your value is based on being beautiful, desirable, youthful, perfect. Let it die. Let it burn. Because only through that death can something real be born. This grief will be uncomfortable. You may feel lost, empty, unsure of what's next. That's okay. That's not failure, it's the space where your true identity begins to form. In Jungian psychology, this space is sacred. It's where the ego cracks just enough for the deeper self to come through. This deeper self is not built overnight. It is built through the integration of all parts, not just the bright curated ones. You must begin to bring in the shadow, the parts of you that feel old, angry, forgotten, unseen. The parts you hide in order to maintain your image. The part of you that's tired of pretending. Write to her. Ask her what she wants. Ask her what she's been protecting. Ask her what she's afraid of if you truly grow up. This is not therapy speak. This is the essence of individuation. Because the more you bring these hidden parts into the light, the less they need to sabotage your life, and the less they fear aging because now they are included in the journey. You must also begin to redefine power. Power is not how many people want you. Power is how rooted you are in your truth. It's not your ability to perform. It's your ability to stay present with what is real even when it's not glamorous. And real life is often not glamorous, but it's honest. And honesty is magnetic in a way that filtered beauty can never be. So what does this new identity actually look like? It looks like saying no to roles that shrink you even if they're praised, letting go of clothes habits and people that keep you stuck in adolescence, choosing rest over rebranding, speaking from your soul, not your script, creating work that reflects your current truth, not your outdated image. And yes, it looks like letting yourself age, not neglectfully, not bitterly, but consciously, with presence, with rituals, with reverence for your changing face, your shifting body, your wiser mind. You will feel the difference in your bones. There will be less anxiety, less comparison, less need to compete with women who are 10 or 20 years younger, because your sense of value will no longer be tied to external timelines. It will be tied to internal alignment. And this changes everything. You begin to make choices not from fear, but from depth. You stop asking, will they still find me beautiful, and start asking, am I still living in alignment with my truth? You stop worrying about whether you're being left behind and start feeling the power of leading yourself forward. You stop measuring your worth by visibility and start cultivating a life so rooted, so rich, so radiant that you don't need to be seen to feel whole. This is maturity. This is womanhood, not in the societal sense, but in the archetypal spiritual Jungian sense. It is the moment you stop clinging to youth and start becoming the queen of your own psyche. Not because you declared it, but because you earned it. In the final section, we will explore how some women in the public eye have done exactly this, not preserved their image, but transformed their relationship to it. And we'll close with the most important question every woman must ask herself if she wants to live free of the trap of eternal youth. Think of someone like Frances McDormand. She once said, "I want to be seen for who I am, not for how well I hide who I am." She refused plastic surgery. She declined the Hollywood game of ageless perfection. And as she grew older, she grew deeper. Her roles became richer, her presence more magnetic. Not because she stayed young, but because she embodied something truer, emotional integrity. Then there's Jodie Foster, who once disappeared from the spotlight not out of failure, but to live, to raise her children, to think, to re-emerge when she had something real to say. She re-entered the scene not as someone trying to recapture her youth, but as someone ready to reclaim her depth. That's evolution. These women didn't deny their persona. They outgrew it. They understood what Jung knew, that the first half of life is about identity, but the second half is about integration, about letting go of the applause, about learning how to be alone without being empty, about choosing meaning over marketing. This isn't just for celebrities, it's for every woman. It's for the mother whose children are grown and who wonders, who am I now? It's for the entrepreneur whose image built an empire and now quietly exhausts her. It's for the artist who used to feel radiant on stage and now feels most alive in silence. It's for you who feels the pull between staying visible and becoming free. The way out of the trap of eternal youth is not rebellion. It's not neglect. It's not bitterness. It's truth. It is saying, I am no longer trying to be 25. I am learning how to be me fully now. It is asking, what version of myself have I not met yet? Because I've been too busy preserving the old one. It is remembering that beauty is not youth. Beauty is presence, depth, peace. You will not find that on a screen. You will not manufacture it through another treatment, another angle, another post. You will find it by going inward, by listening, by letting go of the mask, by aging with your soul intact. Because aging is not just the passage of time, it is the unfolding of truth. And the older you get, the more naked that truth becomes. So here's the question. Do you want to be admired for how well you resist change, or respected for how fully you embrace it? Do you want to be forever young in the eyes of strangers, or deeply rooted in the truth of who you are becoming? Because at some point, every woman must choose to cling or to evolve.